3 reasons why people don't recover from anxiety, panic attacks, the feelings of unreality, what we call derealization or depersonalization. Look, I went through the exact same thing you're going through right now. Not only that, I've helped so many people overcome this that you can't help but to see patterns. And what I've really done in this video is break down the 3 reasons why people really don't recover. And the reason for this is I want you to reflect back on yourself and see if you're making these mistakes. And if so, correct them as soon as possible, because without correcting these, recovery is honestly not possible. I wouldn't even say it's difficult. So by the end of the video, I'll tell you exactly what the 3 things are. Pay attention. So when I was struggling with anxiety, I felt like I was just going in circles. I felt like I thought it was something, and then I would try it, and then maybe I'd feel better for like a day or so, and then I would fall back into the cycle. It's all the symptoms came back. It's like no matter what I did, I was a slave to this. It's almost like there was like this weird joke that I felt like this was it, and then the universe would be like, nope, you're still stuck in the cycle, no matter what I would do. And so the first mistake people make, the first mistake I really made was I didn't understand the mechanics of anxiety. Now here's why. The reason why a lot of people don't understand the mechanics of anxiety is for multiple reasons. Number 1 is that they don't believe this is anxiety. And so if you don't think it's anxiety, why learn about it? Why try to understand how it works? Well, okay, fine, anxiety, that's fine, but I have something else. So that's the first reason. The second thing is that it's actually very difficult to find right information about anxiety. I think one of the reasons why people are stuck in the cycle is because they just don't understand how anxiety works. Depending on who you go to, they say different things. Some people will say it's a chemical imbalance. Some people say it's from childhood trauma. Some people say it's from digestive issues. Some people say it's a lack of a certain supplementation. Some people will, you could see, it just depends who you go to. Whoever you ask, they'll tell you different reasons. And you who is just trying to get out of this, how do you get out of this when everyone's telling you something different? Some people say recovery is possible. Some people say recovery is not possible. Some people say anxiety can't be cured. Some people say it can be cured. Some people say you can overcome this but can't get cured. What's the answer? So the first reason I find people are stuck in the cycle is they just don't understand anxiety. It's very difficult. And even with the age of the internet, just because there's more information, what comes along with that is more misinformation. So it's very difficult. How do you find the right stuff? How do you understand what's happening to you? So the first thing is to really understand the mechanics. When I understood that what I was experiencing was anxiety, that was a shift. It was actually the best day of my life. I know it sounds crazy, but I genuinely feel the best day of my life was when I finally realized this was anxiety. I've had a lot of great moments in my life, but this was genuinely like the moment like, oh, okay, so this is how anxiety works. Now, I wasn't out of it. I was still experiencing the symptoms. Many of the same symptoms you're experiencing, but for the first time, I felt like I could identify the problem. And if I can identify the problem, well, then I could fix it. But what happens is that people don't really understand the problem. They're trying to try different things, see what works, see what sticks. And that's really the issue. And so if you really want to know the mechanics of anxiety, understanding how anxiety works, I'll put a link down below to a free report. It's a report that I've written really showing you what's happening, why it's happening, and I'll also show you kind of how to come out of it. I show you exactly how to come out of it. And so the report is free. It's down below. It's yours. I wrote it for this exact same reason, because I had so much misinformation and I got caught up in all these theories when recovery was just so simple. And it was just understanding what was happening, believing it, and then moving forward. So that was the first thing. Now, the second reason people fall in the cycle is they don't know what steps to take to overcome. They believe that it's anxiety. They're like, okay, these feelings of unreality, this depersonal derealization, the intrusive thoughts, the physical symptoms that come with it, even the numbness and the emotions that come with it, okay, fine. You can throw that all under the stress response, right? I loosely say stress response with anxiety. But like, that's just the beginning of the journey. Yeah, like understanding like the mechanics is just the beginning. The actual journey is utilizing those steps and focusing on long-term freedom. And so what I find is people kind of fall off track, or people don't do the right steps long enough. And what happens is that they get frustrated, they get upset, they feel like, you know, they were starting to do better, and then all of a sudden they experience a setback, and then they sabotage their own recovery. I know I did that so many times. I always say my recovery was probably the longest out of everyone I've met, only because I was doing it on my own, and I made a lot of mistakes on the way. And if I just had somebody to just show me what to do correctly, who was just a couple of steps ahead of me in terms of understanding what to expect next, well, I wouldn't have made those mistakes. You know, I wouldn't have gone rogue. I wouldn't have tried different things, you know, have shiny object syndrome where something else was new. Maybe I could try this. Oh, that was new. Maybe I could try that. And if I just stayed consistent. And so what happens is that even when people understand what's happening, that's just the beginning. The focus is on, okay, well, what kind of things do you change? What things do you focus on? And even though the principles of recovery are very simple, there are certain things you may need to change around you. For example, if you have character flaws about you, if you have personality issues like, you know, you lack patience, you know, you react impulsively, these kinds of things will slow you down and hinder you. Or even things where, you know, you sabotage your own recovery, you get frustrated with yourself, you talk, you know, badly about yourself, you get disappointed in yourself too quickly. These kinds of things will hold you back. And one of the things from helping so many people overcome this is that they need to put that to the side. They need to put their ego and their pride to the side and focus on recovery. And if that means fixing some personality flaws, so be it. And so if you can focus on understanding the mechanics and also focusing on long-term freedom, that's a huge like step in your recovery. Now, the third thing about recovery, the third thing that holds people back, that I find that is a little bit contentious, but I truly believe this, which is identity. Sometimes I feel like, especially even in the culture we're in, and especially because I'm in this niche, I find having anxiety has become in a form of identity, which to me is very bizarre, because to me anxiety is just an emotion, like happiness is an emotion. So being identified with an emotion is a little bizarre to me. And so what I find is people that are identified with being anxious, people that say, well, I'm just an anxious person, it holds them back, because what it does is that it justifies why they feel a certain way and why they're reacting a certain way. One of the things we focus on in the mentorship when I'm guiding people step by step is I don't even use the terms disorder. I don't use it, I don't like it, because it becomes too much of an identity. Right? So many of you are struggling with this and you're like, is this something I'm always gonna have to deal with forever? And it's so easy to make it an identity. I truly didn't think I was gonna be able to come out of this. I really didn't at the time. I really didn't. And so it was so easy for it to be an identity. In fact, one of the things about recovery that I had to focus on was letting go of this identity, because anxiety had consumed my life so much that it was like, if you take this away, what else do I have? You know, just because anxiety was such a big part of my life. So the third thing is really not being identified with it. One of the things that helped me is understand that this is happening to me. This isn't me. And so these are the three things that really, if you're struggling with this, really getting this resolved during a recovery journey, because I find that if people don't understand what's happening, if people aren't focused on the right steps, and more importantly, if people have an identity, these things hold people back. And when we guide people step by step to recovery, these are the main pillars we address. These are some of the many things we address, which is you can't let it be an identity. And a lot of these things kind of get fixed on their own as people make progress. As people start really making recovery strides, they'll start noticing, okay, well, anxiety is not really an identity. Okay, I understand why these symptoms are happening. And because you know why it's happening, you're automatically going to know what the right steps are. And so if you really want to know more, I'll put a link down below to my private Facebook group. In this group, I have more exclusive content kind of breaking down the right steps. A lot of the people that I've personally helped overcome are in this group, giving their advice. There's also people that are well on their journey that are doing much better. They're also providing their insight. And so the link is down below. Now, when you hit the link, it's going to ask you 3 specific questions. It's very important that you answer those 3 questions to the best of your ability. We want people in the group, but I know you've been on forums and you know how toxic they are, and you know how much fear mongering there is. And so we don't want this to be a place where, you know, there's that. We don't even focus too much on positivity. I don't really care too much about that. I just care about the truth, how recovery genuinely looks like. And for that, you know, we need to maintain the integrity of the group. So if that's you, link is down below. I'll see you in the next one.